Hey y'all, it's Hope at Crafty Hope, and I cleaned my desk and I made little piles. Some of it was jewelry stuff, some of it was stuff that had to be put up, and then there was that whole pile that was sitting there of just scraps for art journaling and mixed media stuff. Some of it was scraps, some was fabric. There's a couple little cutout things I had drawn. There's even a hand carved stamp in there that's gonna go in this. So I decided rather than trying to sort it out, I was just gonna sit down and make an art journal page, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm working in this little junk journal. It is the one I made from the transitions workshop from Robin Marie Smith. Man, why couldn't I get that out? Okay. So, and I decided for some reason on this day to use my fluid matte medium to stick stuff down, and then a spatula, just a silicone spatula from, I think, the Dollar General. Yeah. So I'm just throwing stuff in here. I did notice when I was cleaning off my desk, there was a lot of pink and purple things in that stack. And I don't know why. I don't know. I can't think of a whole spread that's predominantly purple. I know the pink was something for something I sent off, some happy mail I sent out to somebody, but the purple, I remember using it. It was actually some of the Ken Oliver Color Burst pigment powder type stuff, and that stuff does bleed, and so we'll see that in a little bit when I pull some gesso out. And then there's like this little bit of, I don't even know if that's watercolor or some, I don't even know. But I definitely played around with some papers, and so I've got all of these little papers that I'm gonna tear up and I'm sticking on these other two pages. Like the last page I did in this transitions journal, I've got two different types of pages on either side. The one on the right, once again, has some sewing pattern paper kind of in there giving some texture, which doesn't really matter since I'm covering it all up with this collage. And the one on the left, I think, was just part of a map that had some black, some kind of ink spray on it. So, and none of that really matters since I'm pretty much covering it all up, and then I'm going to cover all of that up. So I dried all of my medium, and then I've got this gesso. It's, I believe, Claudine Helmuth. It's some that I got at Tuesday Morning. I think I mentioned this before. It's probably some of the first gesso I ever bought, so I really need to use it up. So I just squirted it straight on the page, and I'm using my little brayer here to spread it out. Now you can see those purple splotches definitely coming through as opposed to anything else that I had put down. Now those papers, yes, I know they had some beautiful marks on them, but really I kind of wanted to just use what was already on my desk, so it doesn't matter that I covered them all up. I'm using it's a bamboo pen to just make some little gritty type marks there, and I wasn't digging them so much, the size of them anyway, so I brayer them back out, and then I'm going in with them again, and then I remembered something I had done while playing around the other day, and that was using this pokey tool. Now it's kind of like a little awl or something. It's I know it's from Tonic Studios. I cannot tell you what it's really supposed to be used for, but I'm using it to scratch into my paper and that gesso a little bit to get some texture. And like I said, I had done this the other day on another spread that I didn't record, and I really love the texture. And y'all, I go a little crazy with this. I was really enjoying digging in to the paper and to the gesso. And yeah, I see there, I'm like, I've got to stop. I've got to stop. But no, I keep going. And you can see some of this in the end result, not a lot. All right, so I finally have that done. And then in my little stack, I realized I had these little pieces of what is some kind of like fabric tape. So it's got a backer on it, and I had the hardest time peeling them off. So I've got that pokey tool to help me get the paper up off the back, and I'm sticking it down. And I'm going to skip ahead because I do struggle with this. I put down all 4 pieces. I think 3 of them over here on the right and 1 over on the left. And you'll see that in a second when I skip ahead here because, yeah, nobody needs to see me continuing to struggle with that. So there, I've got those down. That just added a little more texture, some fabric. And then I've decided to use, that is Americana, Deco Arts Americana craft paint in sea glass. I used this also in another page not too long ago, and it's been like one of my favorite colors recently. So, and I'm just using my finger to put a little bit of it down, and then I go and grab another Americana paint. This one's called Oyster Beige, I believe. Yeah. So I've got sea glass and oyster beige. So I'm going with the whole sea theme, I guess. No. Um, what I am doing is just putting that also down. I think I was looking for something that would go with that purple because I kind of just let that roll. Um, since that color burst stuff was definitely seeping through, and some of my other marks you can kind of see in there. So I thought that that sea glass and then just a neutral like that beige would be really good. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of the sea glass there. Yep. Again, just using my finger. And I'm keeping it a little thick because I'm gonna come in here in just a second. See, I start to use my Stabilo, but then I'm like, oh no, I know I'll add some texture with this little bit of bubble wrap that's sitting here on my desk. And then I have the bright idea, and y'all, this is one of my favorite elements on that. Well, I have a lot of things I really love about this page. Um, So I grab just a stencil that's from the Dollar Tree and a baby wipe, and I am picking up some of the paint that I had down. Like I said, I didn't dry the paint yet, so it came up pretty easy. And I like this stencil a lot because it's got a lot of little different texture kind of stencils on it, but it is kind of tiny. So if you want to work in a big area, you've got to just do a little bit at a time. But it ends up being really cool. Just this, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe the feeling it gives me, but it adds so much texture there in the background by having that picked up. All right, I think I'm getting done. Y'all, this was very much an obsessive, like, I'm just going to play. And it turned into something I really love. No, look, I was like, no, just a little bit more here and a little bit more here and maybe a little bit more over here. So I'm finally going to stop and dry it real quick. And then I'm going to come in with my Stabilo. I really just wanted something dark on here. It was feeling very pastel-y, and I needed some spots of dark on here. So I'm just drawing these big, thick, well, they're not thick, but these long lines here. And then I'll use just a wet paintbrush to activate them to if you've used a Stabilo before, you know what it does when you activate it. It just gets this luscious, dark, runny, yumminess that yeah, that's all I'm gonna do. And get that on there. And I think from there, yeah, I add a few more. Y'all can see that. Um and like I said, I'm just using stuff that I just happened to find on my desk. I think actually even maybe the next video I do too. I know I used that same stack again for another one, but I don't know if I recorded it or not. So we'll see. It'll be a surprise for both of us. So I'm looking through that stack for some kind of focal, and I remembered I had this stack of like faces, like these flower fairies I've been drawing lately, that I'd gone on a boat ride with some friends and didn't feel like getting in the water. So while they played in the water, I sat on the boat and drew these faces. So when I got home, I cut them out. And it's some super, super thick, boring paper, almost as thin as copy paper, maybe thinner. So it's not fancy. It was just something to do. And then I liked them so much, I kept them. All right, I needed some splashes, and that is just some instant coffee that had dried in a little yogurt container. So I reactivate it with some water, and I'm just splashing it down there on the page. And I dried it a little bit, and then I'm going to pick it up a little bit and then dry it again. And I'm doing that. Tiffany of Southern Gals Designs mentioned this. I'm trying to think where she mentioned it. That sometimes it gives a neat effect to pick it up halfway through drying. So I was trying that out. And there is that hand carved stamp. Now, that, y'all, was just a circle eraser, and I carved out a circle in the center of it to make this big fat donut. And I kind of love it. So, yeah, and I hadn't put it up yet, so it's going in this page because it was one of those things I had to clean up off my desk. So I'm going to just put down a couple on each side. Well, I don't know, several on each side of the page. And I'm using, oh, what is that? Uh, Seedless preserves, I think is what it is. It's Distress Oxide and seedless preserves. And like I said, I'm just going to put several little down. I put my fairy down to give me kind of a reference of where they need to go. And the only reason I picked that color, y'all, is because it's purple. And since I had the whole purple thing going on the page, more purple. Can't hurt. I went with the theme. Look at me. I can't stop. I got so obsessive with these things. All right. And because you can see some of them have almost too much of the distress and the texture in there, I decided to go ahead and activate it as well with my paintbrush. So I'm just kind of watercoloring them in just to make the stamp a little more solid looking. It looks beautiful. I don't know, because I'm going to, once I finish painting them, I'm going to pick the color up just a little bit with a piece of paper, and it gives it not the same kind of distress feel, but it gives it this ombre feel in certain parts where the more of the water had pooled and picked up off of the color. I don't know. Am I saying that right? Um, you can see what I'm doing. I hope that makes sense. So see here, I filled them all in, and then I'm gonna grab that same piece of paper I picked up the coffee with and pick up some of the color. And so it's not like consistent, but it's I don't know. I really like it. But I decided that those donuts need something else, so I grab just a ballpoint pen, and I'm gonna do a couple of scribbly circles inside of them, and then I'll use what is it called? A Sharpie paint marker, the white one, and put a couple dots in each of the circles, and then I've got just like a gold permanent marker that I'm going to add a couple little dashes inside each of them. I don't know why I paid so much attention to these circles. They really are just the background, but I wanted some gold on there, and I thought inside those circles with all the other doodles I put was a good place for it. Now I needed a sentiment because that's my jam, and I've got these phrases that meant something to me that I typed up. I've got a what is it, a Google Drive so that you can print them out if you would like, that I'll put in the description box below. So this one says, believe in yourself and you can accomplish anything. And so for some reason that just seemed perfect. I don't know why for this page. It just was the one that spoke to me as soon as I saw it. I did know I wanted something white to put down on the page to balance the white of that fairy since I wasn't going to color her in any way. And both of them are really the words are printed on just copy paper, and like I said, that fairy is fairly thin paper too. So they go down really easy with just my Oohoo glue stick. And I love that. I love being able to glue something down that's thin because sometimes I struggle so much with some thicker elements. So being able to throw this down really quick with just the glue stick on this thin paper is fabulous. So you don't always have to have the fanciest, thickest papers to do things. You can use what you have and come up with something, you know. A lot of the things I used in here are straight up from the Dollar Tree and the dollar store, or I made them myself. So, I mean, granted, you're not going to find the Distress Oxides or the Stabilo there, but you can use pens that run or a um a cheap colored pencil or something to do some of these same effects. All right, so I'm going to get that glued down, and I think that's going to be it for this page, y'all. It came, I mean, I know this is a long video, but it came together quickly for me. I got to play and use some of that stuff that's on my desk and, well, mess my desk all up again. So, I hope you like this. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please do. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Keep on crafting on. Bye.